My name is Scott Ronay. I'm the general manager for PurpleLab in our advertising business. And PurpleLab is a data aggregator and audience and measurement provider. And I run the advertising business for PurpleLab.
Awesome. I'm excited to talk to you a bit about orchestration and optimization within omnichannel. Where have you seen teams struggle when it comes to executing some of those coordinated strategies?
Yeah, I mean, there's a lot of areas. And us as a data provider, we build audiences and we send them out to the DSPs. From an orchestration standpoint, in many cases, it's really hard to orchestrate how you're messaging patients, consumers, and HCP, right? How you're deciding how you want to message HCP sometimes is fraught with lots of complexity. And when you use a signal to message HCPs and when you use signal to message patients, sometimes gets a little bit crazy. And so it's really hard to organize those tactics together. So that's where I see the most challenges.
Yeah. Can you share maybe an example of an HCP and DTC coordination that delivered?
Yeah. So, so one of the things that we're working on, in fact, working on it with DeepIntent now, is this whole idea of being able to use when a patient makes an appointment with an HCP, right? Using that signal to decide, oh, this patient is actually going to, go to the doctor soon, right? And so, using that signal to be able to take that data and then use it to coordinate messaging with the doctor because they know that this patient is coming into the office soon.
Yeah.
And then using that signal also to send patient messages about potential therapies or medicines that they can tap into once they see the doctor. So we've seen really nice coordination across those using those signals.
Awesome. This is a tricky one.
There we go.
Brand agency platform.
Yep.
Who should ultimately own the orchestration?
The orchestration. Okay. Well, I would say that the brand is like the strategy, right? They're deciding like what's actually going to happen. The platform really is the orchestrator from my standpoint. Like they're in the business of making sure that the strategies that are set forth by the brand are actually happening. And then the agency, on the back end is responsible for interpreting those results, but the orchestration actually is happening at the platform from my standpoint.
When you think about AI in pharma marketing, what does the next chapter look like?
Yeah.
Do we know?
Well, I mean, from my perspective, there's two different areas that AI I think is having an immediate impact. One is, as we all probably know, how you build an audience for pharma and for patients can be very complex, right? So you have to have a mindset of like, what are the conditions? How much media do you have? What AQ are you targeting to actually build the audience? How much spend do you want to like actually have flow across different channels? And the ability to leverage AI so you can actually build the audiences that take all of those factors into account to do the right thing in the moment is really hard. I think, and what I'm seeing is that AI is going to help drive a lot of that complexity out. So you don't have to have people constantly take all those factors into account when you're building an audience and activating it. So that's one way. The other way I think is really interesting is custom measurement, right? You can do audience quality, you can do script metrics, you can do script lift, like those things are table stakes. But if you want to measure the impact across channels, if you want to measure the impact of script lift across offline and online tactics, you have to figure out a way to ask those questions and to build methodologies around that really fast and really easily. And I think AI is going to help in that regard.
Yeah. Where do you see hesitation as an industry when it comes to AI adoption? And what do you think is holding teams back?
Well, I think the hesitation is that there are, 30 different AI companies out there, all with their own sort of spin on where AI can be involved, right? I think the hesitation might be well, do I need to invest in, all these different AI companies with their own spin on how AI works, or should I wait and try to leverage some of the big guys like OpenAI, like Gemini, like the Microsoft product, because they're going to be as good as using some of these others. So I feel like people are trying to figure out, like, do I need to invest in working with a partnership with a small startup, or can I rely on the big guys that are putting all the effort into AI to make this all work? So I feel like that's a lot where the hesitation is right now.
Interesting.
Yeah.
How is your team moving beyond pilots, proof of concepts into actual real AI embedded workflows?
And I think the two things that I mentioned before, right? How do we put AI on the front end when you're trying to build the audience?
Yeah.
Like all of those factors are super complex. We feel like, and we're working with a number of different technologies right now to embed that within our audience building process. So that's something that we're committed to. That's something we're going to roll out here in the near future. And we're working with lots of different AI companies to come up with the best process. But for us, that's a game changer for us. Yep.
It's interesting. Obviously the acceleration of audiences is huge,
Yep.
and being able to leverage it to track patterns and trends
Yep.
much faster than a human
Correct.
would.
Yep.
Do you see any downfall to that?
Well, I mean, I think the downfall might be like, we have to redeploy some of the resources we have right now to actually build the audiences, which is great because we can have them do lots of other things that are more value add. I feel like it's only going to benefit us because there's so many opportunities within this complex process to have people make errors, right? And if we can streamline that, if we can have, these AI tools are tapping into all the great resources that sit behind the scenes in terms of data and crunch it all in real time and make the right decisions about how audiences should be made, then I think we're all going to win. I think the downside is maybe we have to use too much water to cool these systems or something like that.
Yeah.
But I think for me, it's all upside. I really think that.
When you look ahead 3-5 years, what do you think is actually going to change health marketing in a meaningful way?
Yeah, I think looking at 3 to 5 years, I think that we all have to understand that there's a lot of regulatory changes that are happening in the market. We're going to have to see how that plays out. So a lot of what I think can work here is going to be dependent on what's happening from a regulatory standpoint. I do think that people understand that marketing and advertising in this space is about trying to advocate for patients. We're trying to inform people what's important and how to get better, right? And if we can put messages in front of people to help them understand what their care options are, and I feel like, people in this market and people in general understand that that's what this is about. This is not about trying to deceive people. It's not about trying to get them to leverage medicines that they don't need, that we're actually trying to make them feel better. So I feel like people will understand that more and will embrace, marketing and advertising as a conduit to helping them understand what their options are.
Yeah. You mentioned a little bit of the uncertainty, whether it's regulatory or even in the future of AI, right? There's a lot of unknowns, hard to predict the future.
Yep.
How are you managing that uncertainty? Are you, planning out against multiple things? Are you holding? How are you actually managing against that?
The way we're managing against that is that we have a team of people here at PurpleLab that are really trying to understand the regulatory market relative to how we're licensing data and making sure that when we do license the data that we use to power a lot of our platform relationships like DeepIntent, that we have the right contractual agreements in place to ensure that the data will continue to flow. One of the great things about the company that I work for is that they really understand the healthcare data market and can essentially make bets about what supply is going to be there, so we can continue to build products, build audience, and build measurement products that are compliant. I really think that's kind of the key, is like understand the regulatory environment and understanding how to build contracts to get this data so we can make it available to the platforms.